In today's edition of Astana Expo 2017, we will tell you which types of renewable energy is India developing, which developments will be presented for the guests of the exposition at the Pavilion Best Practices site, and the important news of Future Energy Forum. The seventh largest country in the world, India, has one of the fastest developing economies in the world. India's total area, 3,287,000 square kilometers. Population, 1,252,000 million. The second largest workforce in the world, 516 million people. Human resource distribution, agricultural sector, 28%. Service sector, 54%. Industry, 18%. Recently, India has established itself in software export as well as in fields of technology and finance. The country is one of the popular tourist hotspots in the world. By 2021, some forecast the annual rise in tourist sector to be 8.8%. Along with being the cradle of the ancient civilization, having unique culture and diverse landscape, India has increasingly been developing medical tourism. Throughout the last 2 decades, the annual GDP growth has been 5.5%. However, the turbulent economic growth of the country is increasing the dependency on energy resources. India is the #1 oil consumer in the world. Meanwhile, India's government has proclaimed its intention to transfer to alternative sources of energy within transport system. Such a mission is planned to be fulfilled with the use of liquefied natural gas, which is obtained by natural gas compression and is further cooling. Ethanol, alcohol, which is one of the constituent parts of alcoholic beverages in compliance with fuel standards. And methanol, wood alcohol, consisting of methanol 85% and petroleum 15%, which India will be able to obtain from household waste of the agricultural sector, saving up $75 billion. The world community's strong interest in alternative fuels is conditioned by the following factors. There would be lesser amount of emissions, which are the cause of both smog and global warming. Alternative energy is an eco-friendly solution to energy dependency problem for many countries. In contrast to petroleum and diesel fuel, alternative fuels are based on renewable sources. If the alternative fuel is dependent on industrial production of the country, the solar and wind energy are directly contingent upon the climate and the landscape. The coastline of India stretches for 7,000 kilometers, while Himalayan mountains have extended along the northern border of the country, which makes its climate soft. The climate is mostly warm and humid, with an exception of 4-month transitioning period with a dry and chill season. The Indian government has proclaimed its intention to produce 100 gigawatt of solar energy and 60 gigawatt of wind energy by 2022. These measures are prescribed by National Solar Mission, which has been added in June 2008 to the National Plan of India on Climate Change. Its accomplishments, India will not only demonstrate at Expo next year, but also will bring its own tourists to Kazakhstan. The representative of Indian tourist company has told us about his plans on attracting tourists to Kazakhstan.
We've started promoting Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan And Kazakhstan has had a very, very good response because it's on the level of Europe and the prices here are very, very reasonable. The flight time is only 3 hours, and if you went to Switzerland, it would be 6 hours. The price of the ticket is nearly double to Switzerland. In terms of sightseeing, Almaty, Astana, Kazakhstan itself is much, much better. 10,000 people a month coming very, very easily. Of course, there will be charter flights as well. I mean, the number which is possible from India is huge because at the time of the Expo, the holiday seasons will be on. It will be very, very hot in India, so people will want to leave. So it's an ideal time.
A session of International Selection Committee of the best world practices in the field of clean energy has been held in Astana. The pavilion Best Practices site will be one of the most appealing areas of the exposition. The most unique and adapted technologies in the field of alternative energy will be presented here. This pavilion will become one of the main thematic objects on exposition area. Before selecting these projects, a special international selection committee has been formed, which is headed by the Secretary General of International Exposition, Mr. Losser Talis. Also among the committee members is a Nobel Prize laureate, a prominent expert and a scientist in that field.
The first stage, as you can imagine, there are two.
According to the chair of selection committee, Mr. Losser Talis, a first stage was the announcement of the contest in January 2016. All this time, the national company has been receiving projects from the companies working in energy efficiency field as well as renewable energy such as sun, wind and water. The names of participating companies and their developments are strictly kept in secret, fueling the public interest to the upcoming exhibition. An important significance in selecting the innovative projects was devoted to the committee itself. The members of the committee are prominent figures in science, engineering and other fields that are related to thematic directions. Nazarbayev University staff and the representatives of International Expositions Bureau. A Nobel Prize winner in physics, a professor at the University of California, Berkeley, Mr. George Smoot has told us about the selection criteria of the participating companies.
There was a lot of different weightings, a lot of different discussions on how to put together a good mix to make it an interesting part of the exhibit to visit.
Not less important factor in the selection process is consideration for Kazakhstan's unique features. Selected projects are designed to develop this particular industry and applicable in the context of Kazakhstan.
So the process has continued and it is continuing. The next step was a panel of experts evaluated the 133 or 6, however many proposals there were, and ranked them and selected the top 64 to send out to our committee to make our first reviews. We were down to select from the 64 down to 32 and alternatives or whatever before we had our meeting today.
Main recommendations on filling up the zones of Best Practices Pavilion for the exhibition organizers are already formulated. However, the overall picture is flexible. Some minor changes can occur in the placement of projects on the territory of the exhibition and outside of it. The committee members admit that they would like to see not only complex high-tech projects, but also innovations inspiring men, spreading more power and energy. Dr. Smoot told about next steps in filling up the pavilion of Expo 2017.
We finally down-selected to something on the order at this stage of 17 things that we think should be in the exhibit hall and another 4 or 5 that we think should be external, that is outside, either outside the expo in places like downtown and in the airport, or out, being shown as actual working operation systems outdoors in the expo region, and said, here's our first cut, and then we made a set of backup cuts and other suggestions, and told the expo company and the organizers to please start the process of seeing can these be accommodated at the expo in a good way, and also to negotiate with these potential display exhibitors to see what kind of exhibit they would do and whether it would fit in what would go on.
The impressions from the scale of construction work were expressed at the press conference. Mr. Lasertalis outlined future plans and further work with participants of the exhibition.
Let's start with the general progress of the Expo. I was very impressed by the situation of the construction. The site is practically finished. In October, the pavilions will be handed over to the participants. In the case of the thematic pavilion, Kazakhstan pavilion, practically the construction works are finished, and now we are starting the process of producing the exhibits, which will be in the pavilions after October, by the end of this year. That means that we are perfectly on schedule. The site, if you have had the occasion to see that, is very impressive, has a very, a very modern and very original architecture.
Currently, the world community is facing the problem of universal access to renewable energy. Each country is resolving the issue in its own ways. Kazakhstan is hosting experts and developers of clean energy at EXPO, not only to determine the future energy and the ways to generate it, but also to rally the countries of the world in tackling the global issue. Today, the participation was confirmed by 103 countries and 17 international organizations. These figures are not ultimate. Universal interest and themes relevance have been confirmed at the last Astana Forum, Future Energy, Energy for Everyone. Its participants were leading experts in clean energy, scientists, representatives of Energy of Kazakhstan, non-governmental organizations, as well as representatives of International Expositions Bureau. In total, the forum has been attended by 60 international organizations. This event follows the series of annual forums dedicated to various directions of the exposition's theme. On the event, there were raised questions on the topic of energy efficiency, energy saving, and the reduction of carbon dioxide emissions. We are planning to conduct a wide-scale research for Site 2050, a new world of energy and Kazakhstan's role in it, attracting Kazakh futurist experts. The research will provide answers related to the questions of transforming energy policy of the Republic and will serve as a basis for long-term energy legislation of the country. 4 site results will be presented on the opening of Astana Expo 2017. This will be our contribution in terms of long-term vision on world's future energy. The minister has also noted that the implementation of the Startup Projects competition in the field of renewable energy, called New Energy Startup Global Fest, is underway. The final stage will occur on 27th of October in the capital of Kazakhstan. As a result, expert jury will select the best startup projects in green industry. The selections will be presented at National Pavilion of the exposition.